What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here to talk about a little post that was floating around the old Twitter sphere Sunday afternoon. This is from a card show up in Syracuse, New York, and it kind of comes on the heels of, I don't know if everyone's aware of the situation that happened with Ryan at Breakout Cards. He did a couple videos on it and has talked about it on Twitter. I think Dan the Cardman talked about it a little bit too, where a show promoter got pissed at him because someone wanted to show them their collection to potentially buy. He was walking around the show. They approached him and said, "Hey, we got some stuff you might be interested in." And they went outside the show and like in the lobby, I think, a neutral area, I guess. He looked through the stuff, didn't end up buying anything. Posted the video because he does vlogs. And like months later, the show promoter sent him an email basically like threatening him. And it's been a whole thing. The show promoter threatened to take down, go after him on YouTube, a whole bunch of shenanigans. And now, we have this sign that's making the rounds around the social media verse about, only vendors, whatever. Listen. I get it. You shouldn't, as an attendee, I'll give a perfect example. Perfect example is my local show in Canton. On 34th Street, Tosley's. It's a banquet center. There's a bar area set up between the two rooms. It's basically no man's land. If I walked into that show and I sat down at one of the bar table things, there's table seating around the bar. And this is not where the show's typically set up, but you go pass through it to get to one room to the other. If I sat down in there and laid out a bunch of cards on the table and just chilled there for the morning, that is not correct. That is not cool. You should not do that. That's a no-no. That's no. Get the F out. If I'm walking around my local show and someone comes up to me and they're like, "Hey, Neo, I know you love X. I have this card you might be interested in." And the two of us walk in there and we look through a couple cards and we do a deal. And then, within 3 minutes, we've split and gone our separate ways. If you have a problem with that as a show promoter, you don't understand how modern card shows work. I'm sorry. If I saw this sign at any show that I attended, I would never go back to that show again. I'm done. Because you do not understand how to run a modern card show. Once again, I completely understand you need to respect the vendors that have paid the setup. So like the situation I described earlier, going in and sitting down and laying out your inventory, that's not cool. To step off to the side and do a 3-minute deal with someone that you met at the show, if that's not acceptable, don't even run the frickin' show, to be honest. You need to be respectful of the dealers as well. Like, you shouldn't be, if someone's looking at a card in a case and you have a similar card in your case, you should not interrupt that deal. If a dealer and a buyer are negotiating a price, don't frickin' add your 2 cents in. Just stay out of the situation. Maybe you're even interested in that card. I've had this situation before where someone is negotiating for a card that I would also like to negotiate for. They beat me to the punch. If the deal falls through, then I'll make my shot. But stay out of it. That sort of stuff is a no-no. But to have a policy like this is just you, as a show promoter, you're just a freaking idiot. You don't understand the way a modern card show operates. We talk about it all the time. The sports card market in a show on a micro level is an ecosystem. One, you need buyers coming in the door. This sign at minimum is going to turn buyers off. If the dealers are bitching, then they need to understand how a modern card show works. If I walk into a show and someone brings something up to me, or we're walking around, maybe I run into someone and oh yeah, I have a Mobley, he's a really cool deal. Oh yeah, I got this cool Mobley card in my case if you want to take a look at it or whatever, as I'm, roaming between tables or whatever. Guess what? If me and that person do a deal and one of us puts a couple $100 in the other guy's pocket, there's a better than average chance that guy, that other show attendee, is going to take that couple $100 and go walk around the showroom and spend it. So even though I walked in and I didn't directly buy a card off of one of the dealers set up. Maybe I buy a card off someone walking around because they approach me like that. I give them $300 for an Evan Mobley Silver PSA 10. He takes that $300. He goes, sweet, got $300 cash in my pocket. Let me go hit these couple vendors up. I'm going to spend $100 at each one. If you can't understand that and you're operating a show, just get the hell out of the business. Maybe I'm sounding a little harsh here, but like, come on. Shows are slowly getting chewed away at in a lot of different angles. You can't have policies and approaches like this. It's just tone deaf and you're completely out of touch. You know, I was looking through the Twitter replies on this and like 95% of them are like, what the hell? This is complete garbage. And once again, please understand, I am 100% respect the right of the dealer that paid for the table space. I'm not talking about, I'm going to go sit at the end of the row on the floor with my case opened up and say, shop's open, boys. Let's swing some deals. You know, I'm not advocating that by any means. But if a couple guys and girls are walking around the show floor and they get to talking and they want to do a deal and they sneak off to the side somewhere, whether it's neutral territory, down a hallway, off in a corner somewhere, who cares? Odds are that money is going to stay in the room anyway. And in a down market, you need as much cash in the room as humanly possible. That, and, you know, I think it was Ryan from Breakout brought up a really good point. This, or someone, maybe it wasn't Ryan, so I don't want to miscredit, but someone had mentioned specifically with small shows in general, do you really want to piss off 15 to 20% of your show attendees by having something like this in place? Or if two people go off to the side to do a deal for a $100 card and then the show promoter sees it and walks over and boots them out and says, get the hell out of here. That word is then going to get out, and that's going to impact future attendance at your show. And if you're a dealer and you're super pissed about this stuff, once again, get over yourself. I get it. You paid the 20 or 30 bucks to set up, 50 bucks, whatever it is at the show. But if you can't understand the bigger picture, like I laid out before, where because I didn't spend my 300 at your table, now you're pissed because that 300 is not going to you, it's going to someone walking around, then you don't understand how all this works. Like I laid out before, there's a decent chance if I buy a card off someone attending the show, they're going to inject that money back into the showroom floor. Maybe they walk out with 100. Maybe I buy it for 300. They stash 100, but they still blow a 200 in there. That's how the whole ecosystem thing works. That's the whole point. And once again, it doesn't encourage a friendly show environment. That's going to impact your attendance later on. So yeah, you know, maybe you throw a little hissy fit as a dealer and you get your way this show, but now maybe 10% less people attend the next show, and then 10% less people attend the next show. Then guess what happens? Dealers go, wow, no one's attending this show. I'm going to stop setting up, or I'm skipping this one or whatever. And that's how a show withers. You know, I'm lucky. My local shows, fantastic. I have a boatload of them in Ohio. Couple very consistent ones. I have 2 monthly ran by the same promoter. They're very close to me, 10 to 15 minutes away on opposite ends of the county. 50 to 60 table shows, gets up to maybe 80 tables in the summer because they get a little outside expansion in Hartville. And show promoter's great. I have never seen him come close to doing anything like this. There's a show in Cleveland I go to on occasion. Never had an issue there. 0 problems. And once again, I am not advocating bringing your folding chair and set up at the end of a row or at an empty table in a weird area. You know, at the Midwest Monster, there was, and I think most people are generally pretty cool about this to begin with. At the Midwest Monster, which was like a 500 table show, it was in an indoor arena with a bunch of basketball hoops. Or courts, half courts, basically. And in the center of that was bleachers. There was little 3-row bleachers. There was probably, I don't even know, a dozen of them set up in the inner circle of this arena that, you know, there was multiple courts that kind of circled around a concession stand in the middle, and then there was 3-row bleachers. I can't tell you the amount of people that would sit down on there to take a load off, but I also saw plenty of Pelican cases open with people doing little side deals here and there. No one was set up shop. Everyone was for the most part, most people attending a show are respectful enough to not do dumb shit like this. And I wasn't watching the bleachers the whole time. Maybe someone did get a little abusive and do it, but there wasn't enough. If anyone was doing it, it wasn't for more than a few minutes, at least from what I noticed walking around that show last year. The Shipshawana show, it's packed. There's really nowhere to go off to the side, but people do. They go off. There's little areas like by the doors, the side doors, where people will kind of step into and do a quick deal or whatever. But once again, no one's abusing the system, I guess, if you will. Maybe all it takes is one, but just address that one person. Plus, you put this sign up. Who's walking the show floor enforcing this? How many people are you actually going to catch in the act of doing it? So now you have this sign up and you get a bunch of bad press and a bunch of bad PR, in my opinion, from having the sign up of something that would be nearly impossible to enforce anyways. Like, you're really going to walk the show floor as a promoter and keep your eyes peeled for this? Like, and also, what if you're not selling? What if we're doing a trade? This says sell. Okay, cool. I'm trading this card for that card. There's no cash in exchanging hands. You specifically said sell. I don't know. I will be extremely curious for your guys and girls' thoughts and comments down below on this one. What do we think? Too far? Should this be something at every show? Also, if you're very specifically, if you're a dealer at a show, how do you feel about a policy like this? I know there's a lot of people that watch my videos that set up as dealers at small local and regional shows. I know a lot of my local ones that I talk to on the regular. I'll be curious to pick their brains for this at upcoming shows when I see them. If I would have saw this beforehand, I was at the Cleveland show on Sunday, I would have talked to some people about it. I have a feeling I know what side of the fence they're going to come down on. I really do. Once again, be respectful of dealers, be respectful of the space. I'm not saying not to do that. But on the flip side, come on. Come on, guys. And I have a feeling this isn't, and maybe I'm wrong. I would be curious how much this is the show promoter wanting this and how much dealers are complaining. And if that's the case, if you're a dealer complaining about someone stepping off to the corner of a room and doing a quick deal, then, in my opinion, you're out of touch on what's going on right now. That's all I have for you guys and girls. Extremely curious for your thoughts and comments on this one. So please let me know down below. We will catch you guys and girls on the next one. Comic book stuff tomorrow. I was going to do it today, but I wanted to vent and get this off my chest. Catch you on the next one. Peace.